Hello, my name is Chef Eric. I am very happy to be with you today. We're going to do for Let's Eat the World a very good and easy recipe for a sauce that it can be used for fish like we're going to do today for the family, but it could be also used maybe with roasted chicken or something like that. So when you're out of ideas, this is a sauce that can save you for a little while. A few ingredients: shallots, white wine. The white wine you want to choose has to be a Chardonnay, Sauvignon, Viognier, but a dry white wine. Don't spend too much money on it. Don't buy the cheapest one. First thing to do is to chop the shallots. We use pink shallot today. If you're lucky enough to find the green one, please use the green one. They have a slightly little bit more flavor that I like. Usually we use shallots for fish, salads, and onions for stew, for meat. When you have your shallots peeled, the best thing to do is to cut them in half, and you need sharp knives. And you put it on a flat surface, like this, and you chop like this. And you see my fingers, the knife slightly slice on my fingers. When you have done this, you do another one, and you always stop so everything stays together, and then you can cut very thin dices of shallots. What is left there, you can chop it, of course, if you don't want to waste, or you can use it for a stock. I'm going to do all of them. As you can see, with a little bit of habits, you can be very quick, but what you want, really take your time if you're not have the habit. So I've done that my entire life, so I'm not expecting you to do as quick. But what you want to be sure that you get very thin dices of shallots. Of course, you're going to cry at the same time. That's part of the game. So don't do it with a machine. The machine don't give you a good job on that because they have tendency to let the liquid the humidity or the liquid that sits inside the vegetable, the shallots, the onions, it tries to make it go out of the vegetable, and for some reason it doesn't give you the same final product. Do it by hand. It's a good practice. All right. Now that we have finished, we're going to start the reduction. The reduction is pretty simple. What you have is a saucepan. You had your shallots in there. Nothing else for the moment. And you see it's a good quantity of shallots, but that sauce is really what it's about, is the shallot flavor. So now that's the most important and the longest part of the recipe has been done. Your chopped shallots goes into a saucepan big enough to contain all the ingredients who goes with it. So from top to bottom is going to be the same one. You need a bit of fresh thyme. If you don't have it, you use dry thyme like me. It's not really the season for it. If not, you just took a small spread, it will be fine. And the white wine, as I said, dry. That's pretty important. You have the recipe, right? You know exactly the quantity, what to put in there. Frankly, it's a recipe that you don't have to really be very measuring everything. At the end, you want to be sure that you have the good taste, especially the salt, but a bit more cream, a bit less cream, a bit more butter, less butter. And the wine is going to reduce to be almost nothing, so it's not a problem. So we're going to reduce that wine until there is maybe 2 tablespoons of liquid in there. And you can see that there is a lot of liquid. It's going to reduce, going to take the time to reduce. And when you have 2 tablespoons of liquid, you can stop it. And then we're going to add the cream. Now that the reduction is done, we have our 2 tablespoons of liquid, the shallots full, translucid, full of liquid. We're going to add the cream. Double cream, heavy cream, uh, whipping cream, at least 30 to 35% fat in there. It's very important. And you add that cream into that liquid. Simple enough, right? And we're going to boil it for 1 to 2 minutes. Not all the creams are boiled equal. So, I mean, that sometimes they got thick very quickly, sometimes not. What you want is to have something that it's like a custard a little like a real, like a sauce. It won't take very long because I know that cream is very fatty, so it gets thick kind of quickly. I didn't put any seasoning yet. We have a little bit of salt, we have pepper, and of course the butter is going to come to finish it. And the star of the sauce, the vermouth. There's different variety of vermouth. The most famous brand is probably Noyer Prat. I don't have Noyer Prat, but I have like a Spanish vermouth. Very similar, a little bit more herbal in flavor, but it's not a problem. That's what we're looking for. All right, so now it's starting to simmering. Maybe I'm not exactly in front of it. We're going to give it like 1 or 2 minutes of boiling for the sauce to get thick. So after 1 or 2 minutes of boiling, you see I'm not on the big boiling, I'm more like on the simmering. I leave the shallots in there, and so some recipes they ask you to drain the shallots. I like the fact that the shallots are inside. I'm going to add a little bit of pepper. It's a white sauce. So, to be honest with you, if I was in a cooking school, I won't put any black pepper, but we're not in cooking school. And a little bit of salt. There's always a way to add the salt later. And butter. You can see the butter, I cut it in small little chunks, and I'm going to add it into it. You don't need to do one by one like the famous beurre blanc. This is a sauce that we can add the butter all in there. And we whisk. I'm on the simmer. Now that I have the butter, I don't want you to boil it anymore. The butter is very yellow, slightly change the color of the sauce. And I mix for the butter to melt, but also to get included into the sauce. If I don't melt, if I don't mix, it will melt. And you won't have an unctuosity that you're looking for. All right, very happy with that. I still have the heat on, but very light. And I'm going to add the vermouth into it. So you need to have a 2-3 tablespoons, maybe something like this. And then we're going to let it cook for the alcohol inside the vermouth to go away. Won't take very long. And then I can work on my seasoning to be sure that I have enough salt and all that. So I'm going to just get the alcohol to evaporate. So now I only have the flavor. So the sauce is now finished, basically. We just need to be sure that the seasoning is perfect. Always test. Whatever you're doing, test mashed potatoes, a sauce. It's so important because 80% of what you serve is going to be successful if it's seasoning, if it's seasoned well. If it's not seasoning well, even if it's the best product ever, it's not fun. I need some salt. The rest, I can test the wine, the acidity of the wine. I can also test the vermouth flavor. This is what I wanted too. I'm going to taste it again now that I had some salt, pepper, I'm fine. Just perfect. What I can do now is to leave it on the side, reheat without any boiling. When you reheat your sauce, because there is the butter in there, you want to be sure that you can reach to a point that is close to a simmer. It's hot enough for your dish, but don't boil it. You can also put it in the fridge if you have leftovers and use it later, maybe putting some vegetable into it, reheat them very slowly inside the sauce. It's very delicious. The sauce is ready. I plated something very simple, you know, a little bit of leek with vegetable, a nice piece of wild salmon, and we're going to do the sauce. You see the sauce is not really very thick. It has to be slightly lighter, like a beurre blanc. Those recipes are very similar actually, but beurre blanc doesn't have any cream into it. You have another one that you had fumé de poisson, like a fish stock, like a velouté. So those experiences are very similar. The vermouth is unique to that one. You can also blend a little bit of sorrel into it, or boiled spinach that you squeeze well to remove the water, and you have a green sauce. Even with the vermouth will be very good. Et voilà. Don't forget a nice piece of bread to dip into the sauce. Enjoy!